Hi everybody, Scott here from the Introvert Powered channel. In this video I'm going to talk about MBTIs. So this is just my own observations, and I don't think my descriptions necessarily apply to everybody, but I think I've noticed some general trends, if you like, or just some general observations about certain types I's. So generally speaking, I see intuitive eyes as, like, if we think of pictures, it's like they have like a matte finish to the eye, whereas sensors have more of a gloss finish to the eye. And I think one of the main reasons for that is it's like intuitives observe sort of further back in the eyeball. It's like there's a softness to it, almost like there's a sort of veiled curtain across the eye where the intuitive is able to sort of observe what's going on, whereas sensors can sort of, it feels like they exist right on the surface of the eye. It's like they're sitting right on the surface, which can give it an intensity to it. I think it's interesting with ENTPs that NE mixed with TI, it's like they have an intellectual warmth, or a way I would describe it is like the ENTP sort of projects a warmth, a warm intellectualism, whereas INTPs are more intellectually warm. So I think that NE, in a sense, softens the thinking, analytical part of them. It's like it softens the gaze a little bit. I think for ENTJs, their TE, which I think with sensor types, that TE can be experienced more sharply or intensely. I think the NI part of the ENTJ, it's like it softens that TE intensity a bit, similar to the NTPs. It helps to create like a more of a warm kind of curiosity, or like that sort of warm intellectualism. It's like it just sort of has more of a curiosity to it, although with that TE out front there can be that decisiveness, if you like, that kind of, I almost want to say a glare, but it's not like like an intentional glare. It's more when that TE sees a discrepancy in the system. There can be like a flash of it's like a concern that some aspect of the system is being compromised or threatened, and so there'll be an immediate sort of immediacy, if you like, in the eyes to correct that, or to clarify, or to challenge something. But I think when that's not happening, there's just kind of a NI neutral intellectual curiosity that ENTJs present. I think that's similar to INTJs. However, I think in a sense it's like with that NI dominant function, there's more of a stillness in the eye of an INTJ. It's kind of the NI is the stillness, and that TE is kind of more directional. And so in that sense, that TE can be a little bit more intense in the INTJ, which is kind of ironic. But it's possible because the INTJ is probably, that stillness is them sort of sitting in their NI, and that sort of TE part of them is kind of looking out. Even though it's secondary, it's kind of like it's focusing in So maybe it's like that NI and that TE kind of focusing in together creates a sort of intensity. I think with ENFPs and INFPs, it's interesting that that FI function, there's a real sense that the warmth, if you like, in the F is, you can kind of see that it's directed inward. It's like it's kind of saying, you know, I'm letting you know how I feel about what's going on, rather than FE, which is sort of focusing outward. So it's like there's that warmth kind of is kind of being absorbed inward, or that feeling is being absorbed inward, and they're letting you know how they feel. The eyes sort of let you know how they're feeling, in a sense. And like I've said in another video, I think NE and FI can look like FE. It can be, it's like that the excitement of the NE mixed with how they're feeling about what they're seeing can kind of extrovert this feeling. So on one level, ENFPs, it's like they're feeling in both directions. The NE is causing them to look like they're extroverting their feeling outward, where really what's happening, it's really showing how they're feeling inwardly. Whereas I think INFPs, very much, that feeling is very much being introverted in their eyes, in a sense. They're very much you can sort of see them, they're very much like in themselves when they're with you, but it's not like a selfish or a self-centered focus. It's more, because in a sense they could be feeling a lot about what you're talking about, but the eyes are sort of, that feeling part of them is focused inward. And it's interesting. It's like there's that focus inward, but it's like, and this might sound a bit unusual, but it's kind of like in their eye, like holds the universe. And what I mean by that, it's like their NE. It's like where the NE universe matches the FI universe, kind of collides in the eye. So it's like there's a stillness in the eye of the INFP, but there's a huge amount of activity in that stillness. So the activity is not necessarily the actual physical movement of the eye, but more the kind of the activity of those two universes kind of colliding. So with ENFJs and INFJs, it's a little bit more tricky for me to describe it being an INFJ, but I think for the most part that FE function, again, you know, opposite to FI, it is wanting the other to feel warm. So there's this kind of outward warmth that's coming out of them, coming out of their eye. It's like there's a happiness like a happiness directed outward to the environment. You know, again, it's also to create that harmony in the outer world. And I think in a way what's sort of happening is the eye is kind of wanting to present warmth and harmony to the environment, and then the introverted intuition then is kind of studying what's going on in the environment. And that's where people can talk about the INFJ more specifically. It's like they can see into a person. So I think that's where like people talk about the intensity of the INFJ gaze. I think that might be a bit of a surprise to a lot of INFJs who think that there's not an intensity. There's more of a curiosity in the eyes, especially through that FE function, trying to create comfort, create harmony in the environment. I guess the differences between the ENFJ, INFJ is that clearly like the FE is very much there to sort of affect the environment. It's like there's that energy from the ENFJ through their extroverted feeling eyes. Like there's a lot of I guess you could say a lot of feeling in the eyes, but there can still be this sort of still. But I think there can be this still You know, like there's an awareness with all of that energy and activity going outward, that there's this kind of still part of the eye, if you like, going back. That sort of intuitive wanting to read into what they're seeing in the outer world. Whereas INFJs, perhaps there's maybe more of a stillness of the eye. Obviously not a physical stillness, because I think a lot of INFJs, they move their eyes around a lot, but that sort of NI focus, you know, like really studying a person, you know, backed up with that FE gentleness, you could say. It's like INFJs can sort of have an intense but gentle gaze, if that makes any sense. I think with SPs, you know, the P part of SPs kind of creates this sort of, and it's like they're always anticipating something, like they're always waiting for a surprise. And you know, connected with the S, it's like there's this sort of like the eyes are like very active in the moment, kind of waiting and looking for something to sort of stimulate them, in a sense, or kind of looking for the surprise or something like that. It's very active. I think ESTPs can have, I think, again, this is coming from an INFJ perspective, that they can have a real intensity about their presence with that SE. It's like their eyes are very active. It's like their eyes are sort of, in a sense, in the world rather than in their eyeballs, in a sense. It's like they're very much dominating, you could say, the sensory environment. And backed up with the T, it can have that sort of, that intensity about it. I guess that's similar for ISTPs, but maybe just not as intense. I think with ESFPs and ISFPs, again, there's the introverted feeling, again, is kind of saying to the sensory world how they're feeling about it. It's that feeling's kind of going inward again, and so there's that sense of them saying, if things are good, they're like, yeah, I'm feeling really warm about this environment. Everything that's going on in the sensory environment is pleasing to me. So for the SFPs, it's like they're sort of saying, I'm privately warm about what's happening around me. So STJs or ESTJs, with that TE and SI, there can be an intense, like they've got like intense active eyes. It's like their reactions to their physical reactions to what's going on around them can be seen in their eyes. Essentially, it's like they're both sort of in a way happen in unison. It's like what they're thinking. You can tell, in a sense, what they're thinking because it's right there in their eyeball. Like there's that focus or that analytical kind of stare. And I think ISTJs can have a similar presence about them, but I think it's just like not as intense. With that introverted sensing function more, being more dominant. That the TE is not as intense, but I think something similar sort of is going on. I think with ESFJs and ISFJs, it's like they've got a caring / nurturing gaze in their eyes, that's focused on the sensory environment. And with that extroverted feeling part of them, it's like it's like the eyes sort of project out that warmth or what it is that they're feeling, sort of project it into the environment. wanting to create a harmonious, comfortable environment for people, but at least according to how they understand it. So anyway, there's just some observations that I have when I look into the eyes of the various types. I wonder if this resonates with you. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching to the end, and I'll see you in another video.